Thanks for joining us today on Envision. Dr. Brian Maher is going to talk to us about one of his favorite topics. No, not favorite topics.
Oh boy, do we have to?
Yes, we have to. It's winter weather. This is not one of our favorite topics, if you haven't guessed yet. We have been extremely lucky in that into early December, we have not had any measurable snowfall to speak of, but I'm pretty sure that's going to change.
Yeah, and maybe by the time this is posted, it already has changed. Yeah.
But that winter weather and the call to decide whether we're having school or not having school has to be one of the most difficult decisions you make as a school leader.
It's the toughest. It really is. Of all of the things that I do that ultimately I'm responsible for or a part of, that's the toughest because that has an immediate impact on everybody's safety.
Absolutely.
And we say and we mean that our chief responsibility is the safety of our students. And that's a really tough call many, many, many times.
Right. So we're talking 24,000 students, coming in the morning, and when the winter weather is making travel difficult or, just scenarios around town, not only those 24,000 students, but we have about 3,500 staff members. There are things like getting sidewalks cleaned and, the ice meltdown and all of those details that we really have to consider. And that's just a small piece. We're a small piece of the community, but it can make a big impact.
There are a couple of things that I'm very thankful for, and then there's still that stressful piece of making the final decision. I wish weather would happen between 10 p.m. and 4 a.m. and then you can make a real good decision, but the fact of the matter is it happens 24 hours a day.
Right.
So when does the weather issue begin, and then when does it end? So that's the tough part. The good news is we have a lot of people that really help us. We have a great relationship with the city, so we kind of understand how snow removal is going to go.
Right.
We have a wonderful relationship with the National Weather Service. And I know it's easy to make fun of school administrators, it's easy to make fun of weather people, but I'll tell you, when I work with the National Weather Service, I have a lot of confidence in what they tell me. And the closer you get to an event, the more accurate they become. There really is a science.
It's a science
behind what they do. I'm very pleased to have the relationship that we have with them. So we'll continue to do that. The other thing I would tell you that on days where inclement weather is maybe even being considered an issue, there are 4 of us that get up and we each have distinctive duties as to how that decision is made. And then ultimately that decision rests with me based on all of the information that we have to have school on time, to have a late start, or to cancel. So I promise we'll take that seriously. I promise you that I'll second guess the decisions I make, just like many of you will. But I will do it with a heart for the safety of our kids.
Right, absolutely, and that is what matters to us. Of course, we have students who are out on buses. We understand some children are walking to school. We know that parents are dropping children off, and there are all sorts of modes of transportation that students are using to get to school. So all of those factors have to be considered. One thing we don't have that a lot of small school districts around is a lot of rural area in our school district, so to speak. So when you see neighboring school districts calling off, perhaps half of their population comes from a bus route, and that's not the case for us.
It's not. We don't have to worry very much about the rural weather. We have to worry about it a little bit.
Right.
We don't have to worry as much about it. But I still worry. I worry about our earliest learners. Many of them walk to school.
Right.
And is the weather conducive to them walking to school? And I worry about our earliest drivers, those who are just learning how to drive, and maybe they're driving on slick streets for the first time as a driver. I'm worried about all of the people, employees included, who have to drive, but I'm most worried about our earliest learners, that they know what to do in the event of inclement weather, and our earliest drivers. Those are the ones I worry about most.
Yeah. Well, this might be the best opportunity to just remind you to have a conversation with your kids about what happens if school is canceled early or earlier in the day than a typical release time. what happens if we're 2 hours late? What's our plan for our family, and how we're going to accommodate that? Because certainly we won't make a disruption to the schedule if we don't have to, but when we have to, based on that safety, then it's great to have your plan in place already.
Right. You know, one of the other things I would say, Deanne, is if as a parent you say it's not safe for my child to drive today, don't let me make that decision for you. You go ahead and make that decision as a parent, and keep your child home safe if you think I've made a poor decision on allowing school to be in session.
Well, we always know your intent is the best decision, and
Right.
I've seen you toil over that
Yeah.
a couple of times already in your time here with us.
It's funny
difficult.
to say, and I don't think maybe many people believe it, but those are the most difficult decisions that I make, because they deal with the human safety aspect,
Right.
and you don't want to miss on that
Yeah.
that decision.
Well, I can vouch for your good intentions and your efforts on that part. So, again, know that winter weather is around the corner if it hasn't already arrived at your doorstep, and plan ahead. Thanks for joining us today on Envision.